Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 126, written by Spicy Marge, 19, traveling through time and space, only to wind up in the same place. First time posting here. I read the flowchart and I think this fits, so here goes. I went grocery shopping today, and the supermarket I went to didn't have one, but very important, ingredient I needed for dinner. So once I was done, I drove to another supermarket down the road. As I walked toward the aisle I needed, I saw an older man looking at me, probably about 65 years old. I'm 26 for reference. Anyway, I looked at him briefly and immediately thought he looked like a much older version of my husband, who is 30. I didn't think much of it and began walking down the aisle. As I got to the ingredient I was after, there was a woman standing in exactly the same spot. She had blonde hair, was exactly my height, and looked like an older version of me, again about 65. Then I noticed we had the exact same handbag. It's a Louis Vuitton handbag that was given to me by an aunt I'm very close to. The woman looked at me, and I swear to you, she slightly smirked before walking away. I stared back at her as she walked away before I heard a voice behind me call my name. I turned and it was the old man who looked like my husband. I then looked towards the woman and she started walking towards him. We had the same name, the same bag, and we looked so similar, albeit the age gap. It was the most bizarre experience and I can't understand what happened. Could it be possible that I encountered an older version of myself and my husband, and what does that even mean? Case notes, file number 126. So time travel is theoretically possible to the past, yet it creates many paradoxes. This is why I prefer the many worlds theory. Traveling to the past creates a new universe copy that your time-traveling self now occupies. Kill your parents, and the parents that birthed you still exist in the original universe's timeline, so then you avoid paradoxes. Rather, I think your mind somehow conjured them up, a long-term foresight ability. Not of events, but of who you and your husband will become. Though if they interacted with the world, I suppose that would prove that they're more than just visions in your mind conjured. If they were you from a different timeline, though, then it would have no bearing on their original starting point, their original universe. I don't know what they would be doing here. Why would they just appear to themselves as they were shopping all those decades ago? Wouldn't really make any sense. Case file number 127, written by OK Lavishness 0418. A creature unknown with a piercing cry to chill the bone. My family is from Guatemala. My parents grew up in a town close to the pyramids of Tikal in a very mountainous area. In 1976, my parents being around 10 or 12 years old, there was a horrible earthquake that killed and injured hundreds of thousands of people. My dad was even trapped for days under the rubble of his home before being rescued. It's a horrible memory for them. I have many family members with similar stories. That isn't a paranormal tale though, but events leading to it were. This is a story as told to me by my parents. About a year later, maybe a little more, strange things started to happen in the forestry mountains near their town. It started with the cries. Every night something would start crying in the mountains. At first they thought it was possibly a wild cat in heat. However, they started to realize that this sound could be heard from everywhere in the town. My mom said it sounded like a man wailing in pain or anguish. It happened every single night around the same time and lasted sometimes for hours. A few months later, the sightings started. It started with a large bird flying over the town and mountains. Then a large humanoid creature was seen in the mountains. My mom described it as kind of like Bigfoot, only it was completely white and less hairy. The people who crossed its path said its eyes were very pale, and the noise they heard at night sounded the same as the cry it would emit when spotted. An anguished, horrified sound. Almost exactly a year after the first sound started, the earthquake hit and my parents' town, being close to the epicenter, suffered great damages. Many people died, were injured, or became homeless. The wails, however, completely stopped after the earthquake. My mom often ponders if it was some sort of angel coming to warn us of the coming disaster, and it left having been unable to be understood. My dad believes that whatever it was probably died just like many others, falling victim to the earthquake. Case notes, file number 127. So this strikes me as an omen of danger and death. There's no accident here that it vanished after the earthquake. Somehow, whatever it was, it knew what was coming and wanted to warn the humans in the town. Perhaps some yet undiscovered wild animal. Maybe a reaper, even, taking form to prevent mass death. Though if that's the case, it appears they were unsuccessful. It's said that humans are not able to perceive angels, not in their true form, and in doing so they would go mad. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and you may as well start a binge session now. I have so many more stories on my channel.